Welcome back to your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, we're back, Barb. You know that I've recommended you and your team for years, but many people put very little planning or thought into picking a real estate agent to handle one of their very largest assets. In many cases, that and a 401k, two biggest assets people have got. You should spend time, make sure you get exactly the right person. So, Barb, how do home sellers choose the best realtor when they're selling their home and they want to get the very most out of it?
Well, not all real estate agents are the same. I love listening to the stories about people's experiences, and it's kind of sad, but it, the industry is really not dialed into doing the things or training the agents to be what the public expects them to know, which is things like how to on pricing, how to on marketing, how to on negotiating, how to on closing. I'll give you an example. I just got feedback on my listing. Oh, they loved it, but we're still looking. I'm like, what do you mean? If they loved it, then you stop the showing and you go back to the office and you write an offer. You don't go look at more homes, but I don't know. It's insane to me what goes on in the industry. And over the years, I've been doing this since 1996. It has not changed. It's really kind of sad. Um, uh, and so it really can hurt home sellers if they pick the wrong agent. It can cost them money. It could cost them time on the market. And really, a lot of people just have no idea what questions to ask. According to studies that are done every year by the National Association of Realtors, most home sellers only speak to one agent before they put their home on the market. Many times it's the agent that sold them the home. Yet 81% of agents sell 3 or less homes a year. Half of them don't sell any. So I looked at the numbers. There's probably over 1,000 sales in the Pikes Peak region for the past 7 months, essentially through July. Yet there's 6,300 agents. That means that if all things were even and agents only had one sale in 1 month, it's not that way in my world. 1 out of 5 agents are selling. It's actually less than that because we sell way more than one house a month. So it's just interesting to me that people don't put any thought into it. And I can really tell sometimes when I get calls from people that are currently on the market and they're stuck and they can't sell, but they want to stick with their agent. They want me to solve their problem, but they want to keep their agent. I'm like, I can't really do that if you're under contract with another agent. So most of the agents suggest a pricing that doesn't match the market, or they have marketing problems. I've seen that many times when I flip through the pictures and I go, oh, that's an easy fix. How come they don't see that? Or there's a whole bunch of agents that work part-time. I just had one agent blow up a deal. She asked for repairs after seeing the dozens of people at the open house, after seeing that we brought through a backup cash buyer into the home while they were there for the inspection. And then they went on to ask for stuff. So there's two ways that a buyer can get themselves out of contract once they're in contract. One is asking for repairs, okay, in which the seller can say, yep, you're gone. Number two is if the appraisal doesn't come in at the agreed upon sales price and the buyer asks for a lower price, the seller does not have to agree with it, and boom, the contract could fail. However, in both of those cases, it's in the buyer court to withdraw those and say, never mind, we're going to proceed as contracted, right? So it really is all in the buyer's court. And this agent really wasn't paying attention. She had no idea, even though we showed it to her, how much demand there was for that home. So she comes in and asks for all these stupid repairs. In fact, 2 of the requests were for things that she didn't have the data on yet. Oh, in case there's a problem with the sewer line, the seller will fix it. but we don't know yet because we don't have the report back. And she had plenty of time to do her inspection. So when she asked for stuff at the deadline, basically, the seller's like, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. So boom, there's no agreement. The contract failed that night because the agent was just assuming that everything was hunky-dory and she was friends with the seller. But the seller's like, no, I'm not playing that game. So the contract fell apart on the inspection phase. And now her buyer is exposed, who'd spent money on inspection and probably appraisal. And her buyer is like, you just put me out of contract. Years ago, I kind of got to learn the easy way about this inspection clause. So basically, the way the contract is designed, the buyer says they have a contract. Okay, we'll take the house at this price. Great. They go do an inspection. Then the inspector says, this has to be fixed. This has to be fixed. The buyer asks for stuff, but it's negotiable. So if the buyer and seller don't reach agreement on that deadline, the contract automatically terminates and the buyer gets their earnest money and the house goes back on the market. So let's say the seller took a backup offer. That can definitely happen in a high demand property. And it was happening in this case. Buyer comes in all fat, dumb, and happy, thinking everything's fine, asking for a long laundry list of repairs. And the seller's like, no. And guess what? The deal blew up that night. She got her buyer out of contract. But I had somebody call me years ago when this rule changed in the contract. And it was somebody else's client, and he had done that. He'd asked for a long laundry list of things. The seller had a backup offer, and he had no idea, right? And so buyer number 2 that had the backup offer at midnight got that house. And he told me, he goes, had I known that, I would have withdrawn my objection and bought the home. But he didn't know. His agent obviously didn't know. And those are some of the things that are really, really important. And a lot of times these agents are so lazy, they hire what they call a transaction coordinator to track their deadlines. This is a third-party person that doesn't have a license, that doesn't have any responsibility whatsoever. They're supposed to do the paperwork. So all the agent has to do is open a door, fill in a 10-minute contract form, and then abdicate their contractual responsibility to some unlicensed person and collect their check at closing. That's what they do. In fact, they usually will send their transaction coordinator to me to ask me questions to get their stuff done so that, hopefully it'll work out right. But I have seen those transaction coordinators miss deadlines and really open the door for the buyer to lose the house. And I don't know why. And what they try to do is make me the admin assistant of the transaction coordinator. And I say, no, I'm not going to be your admin's assistant. That ain't happening. You look in the software, we provide the documentation when we can, period. So it's really frustrating for me because some of these agents don't really want to do the work. A lot of them have other jobs. You wouldn't believe how many requests and phone calls and real estate emergencies I get after business hours. Just last weekend, 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday night, somebody woke me up at 6 p.m. I dozed off because usually I'll have like one half day where I'm tired. I don't want to work anymore during the weekend. And I figure that's an okay time to rest. Wouldn't you think, Richard? Does anybody call you at 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday night?
Not if they don't want to get yelled at or ignored, or unless it's a really close friend or family and there's kind of a crisis. No, not really.
Right. It's always a real estate emergency. It's always real estate agents. It's rarely customers that are calling late at night off business hours. Oh my God, I got a deadline. Oh my God, I forgot to schedule the inspection. Oh my God, what about that house that's under contract? My buyer's interested. I'm like, why are you calling me at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night asking me about a home that the public record shows is not available? Why are you doing that? You know, that is how they spend their time. And I think it's partly because they have other jobs, right? So when they finally get a maybe customer, oh my God, it's an emergency. And they have no respect for other people's time that do this for a living as a career.
Of course, Barb, that makes all the sense in the world, except the only thing you do is real estate. And that's all you've done full time for a long, long time. This isn't a hobby. It's not right out of getting your real estate license. And we'll see how things go. I'll work out of a bedroom office.
Right. I can't do anything about it. Right. But and I have to answer the phone. And this day and age, you can't say, oh, it's a 719 area code. I'll answer it. If it's some other area code, I won't. You never know. That could be a real estate agent. It could be a buyer. I have to answer the phone. So I just don't like that. They don't respect your time and everything. They have to have a right now answer. And so I'm going to start, I watched some other agents in the past that were working more volume than most agents like I do. And they just put parameters in. They put it in the MLS to say after 6 p.m. on a Friday night, all offers, everything will be handled the next business day, which makes perfect sense. The only problem is agents don't read the MLS. They don't read even the showing instructions that come directly to their phone. They have no idea. They don't even know if the home is priced aggressively. I mean, it's so frustrating for me, but I have to try to bite my tongue and be kind and all that. The other issue that we see a lot, especially if more than half of the home sellers are lowering their price, that tells me they're having a pricing problem out of the gate. Now, it could be the agent, and I've had sellers tell me, well, the agent said I should price it at this price, right? Is the agent making the decision, not the seller? And are they really using good data? I just pulled up a random address, somebody I met with a couple years ago, just to see what Realtor.com said their automated value price range was. And it was different by anywhere from $40,000 to $80,000, 3 different automated values. So you can't go off of that. You can't even go by similar sales. You have to really look at the current future data as best you can, and not everybody does it. So one of the tools that we offer for our home sellers to really pick the best agent to handle one of their largest assets, on our website, barbhasthebuyers.com, if you click on that green button on free reports, you can actually download the request to get a report called the 10 questions to ask before you hire an agent. It's actually a 3-part thing, and it will give you all kinds of information to help you decide what are the best agent selection factors, what are some questions that you should ask an agent, and all those things. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And if you are thinking of making a move, we'd love to be one of those agents that you talk to. Just give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
So, we're talking, Barb, about giving the audience information that they can use to find the very best agent to sell their home. What are some other questions that a home seller should be asking when they're hiring somebody to sell their home?
Well, here's some that make most agents feel uncomfortable. One of them is, how many homes do you sell a year? How many do you sell a month? That really makes them nervous. How many have you sold in my area? Those are tough questions for most agents. Even statistics like, what's your average days on the market? What's your average list price to sales price? If they don't know that off the top of their head, they have no idea. I would move on and look around, because at the end of the day, if they're not selling a lot of homes, I think Zillow has some data about the sales. It may not be 100% accurate, but you don't know. Most people have a hard time. The public has a hard time finding that data. So ask them that question. If they are not totally comfortable with the answer, I would keep looking. That's just my suggestion, but you can work with anybody you feel comfortable with. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb Schlinker is the only agent that I would recommend or trust when it comes to making a decision about making that move. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, of course, host of the program and owner proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing whether or not it's worth it to sell your home to an investor, plus Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss those.